Welcome back to Fiji Fever, the countdown to Survivor Fiji. Our next guest is known to audiences from appearing on last season's Survivor Exile Island, and now has made the transition from in front of the camera to behind the scenes. Please welcome my partner in crime, Jody Boyko. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks.
So, what's the transition been like from being in front of the camera to now behind the scenes of the show?
It wasn't as big a transition as I thought it was going to be, only because I was out so early last time that I got to be behind the scenes for the entire taping, and I really was getting into it behind the scenes and all the drama and seeing what was going on in different places and wishing we had more cameras to catch different things that we saw happening that maybe weren't on film. So that part, I kind of slid right into it because I was already behind the scenes to begin with.
You actually were the top 16 in contention and vying to go back into Fiji, and you said that not getting another chance actually was for the best. Could you explain that?
Right, because I'd already been toying with the idea of wanting to work behind the scenes anyway, so I was torn. I wanted to play, I wanted to do the challenges, but I also really wanted to work behind the scenes because I had so many ideas that I thought would work out.
And of course, we're glad how it worked out. Fiji is definitely on a grander scale compared to previous seasons. With the audience increased and elevated, do you think that opens the door to more scrutiny before you get attacked by the raffia?
I think it does. I mean, I think that more people are watching us, so there's a lot more expectations this time. There's a lot more excitement just building up to this, and because we've got veterans and we've got newcomers who are always unpredictable, I think there's going to be a lot going on with this season. I think it's going to be far bigger than anybody can anticipate.
Speaking of scrutiny, the show's been dealt some major blows, and it's safe to say this season has had its share of scandals. What would you say to everyone about the scandals that plagued the show and all the rumors on the boards and everything to end all the drama?
To end all the drama, I think the scandals on the boards are far bigger than any scandal that we could ever come up with. There's really simple answers to just about everybody's leaving. People don't realize that on last season, we lost 3 or 4 people right up until the night before we filmed.
As the actual show does.
So, and because it wasn't on the internet and there weren't as many people watching it, they didn't know. Now everybody is so much more aware because they've been following this from the very first day. So I think the second that somebody leaves, whether it's because they have a death in the family or they have a vacation that got planned, something happens where after we have a concrete date for filming, if they can't commit 100%, then it's easier for them to leave and us to find someone who can. So I think that it's not quite as dishy as everybody thinks it is.
Okay. Switching gears, everyone's dying to know more about the newcomers. All they've really seen is their pictures. What can you how can you describe this bunch of people in the newcomers?
As a group, I think these people were far more excited about the idea of doing Survivor than some of our past contestants have been. These people are all dynamic personalities. They're all type A for the most part. They're all very athletic. And they've been watching Exile Island and they've been watching the build up to this. So they have higher expectations of what's going to happen, I think, than maybe the veterans might. So we'll probably see quite a few clashes. Okay.
Personally, when I pitched the idea of having veterans and newcomers, I love the idea because of the dichotomy of these two tribes. They're like night and day. Since you were almost one of the veterans that were back in the show, what do you think of the group of veterans that made it onto the show?
I think it's a great group of veterans. I like the personalities of every single person on the veterans tribe. I think that we probably couldn't have gotten a better group together because everybody who's on the veteran tribe wants to be there and wants to play, and they want the chance to take down a newcomer, even more so than taking down another veteran, I think. So I think we couldn't have had a better group. It couldn't have worked out better.
But we have to take a break, but before we do, I want to ask you where the hottest female award is that you won at the premiere of Survivor Exile Island.
I actually haven't hung it yet, only because I don't have a room that has red and orange in it, so I'm working on that.
Jody will be back later with Greg to answer your questions live. But coming up, the surprise guest star will join us live. Stay right here. This is Fiji Fever.